Hey, what's up everybody? In this video, I'm going to review Inferno Maleficent Dragon at skill level 4, 5, and 6. Now, I forgot to mention in my previous video that I've changed up the format of how I'm going to be posting videos. At the beginning of every single month, I'm going to post game demonstrations from all of the new Tsums as shorts first, and then I'm going to do an in-depth review later. What I'm trying to do is get you guys the information as quickly as possible, so showing you what the abilities look like, I think that's very important. So I'll get those to you in the format of shorts first, and then I will do these in-depth reviews a little bit later. So I do have another video that covers Inferno Maleficent Dragon at the lower skill level, so at skill level 1, 2, and 3. So if you haven't seen that video yet, check that one out. But the strategy and how you'll use Inferno Maleficent Dragon does switch up a little bit at skill level 6, so stay tuned if you're looking for that. I'll link that video in the top right hand corner as well as in the description below. But if you're looking for a skill level 4, 5, and 6, then you're at the right place. But before we get into the review of Inferno Maleficent Dragon at skill level 4, 5, and 6, if you haven't subscribed yet to this channel, please consider doing so. Your subscription really helps me out a lot. Alright, so let's get into it and take a look at Inferno Maleficent Dragon at skill level 4, 5, and 6. So there are two main differences here for Inferno Maleficent Dragon. The first is the skill range. So for skill level 4, the skill range is going to be large, and for skill level 5, it's going to be extra large, and for skill level 6, it's going to be extra large. And this is in reference to the fire blast that's going to come from his mouth. And the second component is the amount of Tsums that will change. So for skill level 4, it's going to change a total of 10, and for skill level 5, it's going to change 12 Tsums, and for skill level 6, it's going to change 14. Alright, so let's get into it and take a look at the strategy. Now, for these higher skill level Inferno Maleficent Dragon, it is going to be slightly different than skill level 1, 2, and 3. In the previous video that I mentioned for Inferno Maleficent Dragon, you could have played with the gyro on and flip your screen or device over to the right hand side a little bit to get a couple more. But at these higher skill level, because the blast range is so much thicker that you don't need to do that, and actually if you have gyro on, it's going to slow you down a little bit. So my recommendation is don't have your gyro on and just play with gyro off. And then the second thing is it's very important to make sure that your entire screen is full of Tsums before you activate the ability. The reason for that is you want to maximize the amount of Tsums that's going to get cleared off the screen. If you're playing Inferno Maleficent Dragon at skill level 6, you could get anywhere between 38 to 41 clears off the screen just from the abilities alone. And the third thing you want to do with these higher level Inferno Maleficent Dragon is keep a close eye on where these sparkly green Inferno Maleficent Dragon Tsums are. It's kind of a tongue twister, I don't know what to call them, but let's just call them sparkly green Tsums. These are the ones that are special, that will burst surrounding Tsums, so these sparkly Tsums are very important. After you see the dragon throw his flamethrower, a lot of them are going to turn into these sparkly Tsums. So try to clear as many of those as possible. If you see them on the screen and you already have your ability activated, still clear them before you activate the ability because they count as really long chains. It's going to really help you get as high of a coin earnings as possible. The next thing you want to do is clear off as many of the magic bubbles off the screen as you can before the abilities. At these higher skill level, it is going to be a little bit more difficult because they're just going to be on the screen at all times. But if you take a note of the screen here, you're going to get a lot of score bubbles. So Inferno Maleficent Dragon is also going to be really good for these score bubbles if you need them. Any missions that you have with a score bubble, you could use Inferno Maleficent Dragon for. You could probably get at least 30 of them per game. So if you have any missions that require you to get score bubbles, then this is the Tsum you want to use. Alright, so now let me show you the side-by-side comparison of the abilities activated at the same time. There's a lot going on here, so what I'm going to do is just slow this down so that way I can show you exactly what's happening and what I'm thinking as I'm playing through them. So after you activate the ability, you'll see that for skill level 5 I have a bubble there, and it does get in the way. So I probably got one less Tsum there, but as you look at skill level 5, a majority of the Tsums are cleared off the screen. So that's why you want to make sure your entire screen is filled because a lot of the screen is going to get covered. Now, if you don't have any Tsums on the bottom right hand corner, that's okay because as you see there is a little bit of gap there. And this skill range is going to be consistent, so every time you activate the ability, this is going to be the area that's going to get cleared. And at skill level 4, I ended up with a chain of 35. Skill level 5, I got 37, and keep in mind I had a bubble there, so it's probably more realistic of 38. But these numbers are not going to be exactly the same every single time. It's really going to depend on how compact your zooms are. And at skill level 6, I ended up with a total of 41. So that's pretty good. And keep in mind the entire screen only has 45 zooms. So you're almost clearing the entire screen with the exception of 4. And I'm thinking maybe if you hit the fan right before you activate the ability, that might even burst even more. So I have to give that a try. And as you're going into the second phase of the ability, you want to start locating where the Inferno Maleficent Dragons are and try to connect those as much as possible. Now, if there aren't any Inferno Maleficent Dragons on the screen after this, still focus on clearing the sparkly ones. Usually there's 1 or 2 that will be sparkly Inferno Maleficent Dragons, and those are the ones you want to target and clear. So take a look at skill level 5 there. I burst a sparkly Inferno Maleficent Dragon there because it was connected. Now, if they're not connected, you want to focus on clearing the sparkly zooms first over Inferno Maleficent Dragon because it's going to burst surrounding zooms. The idea here is try to get back into ability time if you can, kind of like what you should see there at skill level 6. So that's your objective, is to keep this cycle going and try to stay in ability time. Now, there are going to be times where there's going to be a lot of bubbles on the screen, so you want to make sure you clear the bubbles before you activate the ability. Kind of like what I didn't do at skill level 5, it got in the way, and there's a lot of bubbles on the bottom. However, it's not the end of the world. You could always use those bubbles to get yourself back into fever time, or even getting yourself into ability time. So overall, I really do enjoy using Inferno Maleficent Dragon. He does require a little bit of practice. As you can see, I'm not that great at it yet. And actually, since the recording of this video, I have been practicing a little bit more with Inferno Maleficent Dragon. And he's pretty on par with Blue Fairy Godmother in terms of coin earnings. So coin earnings is an option for Inferno Maleficent Dragon if you need a coin earner. Now, he's not going to be the best corner out there, but it is going to be a viable one, especially if you are newer to the game. Alright, now let me show you the results for these 3 gameplays. Now, one thing I want to remind you guys is that these were my first attempts at these skill levels, so they're not perfected in any way. So you definitely are going to be able to get a higher coin earnings and also get a lot more higher score. These are also lower level Inferno Maleficent Dragons, so as you level him up to level 50, your score is going to be significantly better. But regardless, for skill level 4, I ended up with 3,064 coins. For skill level 5, I got 3,289. And at skill level 6, I got 4,591. I think with a little bit of practice, Inferno Maleficent Dragon at skill level 6, you could definitely hit the 5,000. And it's going to be slightly better than Blue Fairy Godmother. So if you want a relatively easier zoom to use that gets you a higher amount of coins, then you definitely want to go for Inferno Maleficent Dragon. But I'll go into Blue Fairy Godmother a little bit later, but they're going to be pretty competitive between the two. And as for score, for skill level 4, I ended up with 9.1 million. For skill level 5, I got 10.1. And skill level 6, I got 13.3. So pretty good for score as well. But I would say once you get Inferno Maleficent Dragon to level 50, he's even going to be a lot better. So give that a try if you need a high score. Comparing skill level 1 to skill level 6, a lot changes. So for score, I got 3.2 for skill level 1. And at skill level 6, I got 13 million. So a big boost there. And same with the coin progression, that there is a good increase. And especially going from skill level 3 to skill level 4, you'll see that it was a pretty decent sized jump. And at skill level 6, it gets really, really good. So again, at skill level 6, I think getting 5,000 coins is very achievable, especially if you play the patterns right. So give that a try. Alright guys, so that's my review for Inferno Maleficent Dragon at skill level 4, 5, and 6. I hope that you guys found this video helpful or at least entertaining. And if you guys would like to see more Tsum Tsum content just like this, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. And as always, thank you so much for watching.